Oh, pink.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. This is the Built from Pain podcast. I am your host, Jose Rodriguez, real estate agent with Keller Williams, featuring the REJ team. I am the team leader. And man, I have a tremendous guest hopping on board right now. He goes by Tyler Silver. Can't even believe that you're on the podcast right now. I'm really fortunate to have you on, man. Go ahead and introduce yourself, brother. Tell us where you're from, who you are, who Tyler Silver was before real estate. Like, who is Tyler Silver?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Whoa, for the introduction. I got my air traffic controller headset on right now. So yeah, man, thank you for being here. I'm Tyler. I'm from New York. Real estate investor. Did a lot of virtual local deals around the country. The co-host of the Rockland Real Estate event with Jose Rodriguez. We run an event here. It's really awesome, and just really great to be here.
Awesome, brother. So, from what I'm hearing, man, is that you're this big shot buying properties all over the states. Dude, how did it all start? Like, I know that you weren't doing real estate for your whole life since you were a kid. So, how was the transition from? Because I know that you went to college, right?
Yeah. So kind of my story and my background is I went to school originally for video production and media, really into that stuff. I'm still really into that stuff. And when I graduated, actually before I graduated, it was 2000, man, dating myself here, I'm 27, but it was 2013. And I had enough credits to graduate school at 120 ready. I could have stopped school for my bachelor's degree. I knew nothing about real estate or anything, but I kind of got this feeling like, well, like, what am I going to do with my life? I studied film, but I wanted to do more. I knew there was more out for me. I felt smarter than what I was doing, and I really wanted to go out there and attack it. So I actually stayed another year in school thinking that that was going to cure everything. So I studied business for a year. I did 2 internships in the city, but at the same time that I was studying business, I learned about real estate and real estate wholesaling. I went to these one of these like MLM education seminars. It was total BS, but I learned about wholesaling there. I went to a few of these events, and from there I learned about some of these guys online, Sean Terry, and these these kind of guru-y people. But that's where I learned, and that's where I started. And one thing led to another. I started attending events. I started meeting people, and I realized like, wow, there's like an opportunity here for me to do this. And when I was interning I worked at MTV and I interned at another company. Man, it's gonna be online somewhere. But I used to go at like 7 in the morning and 6 in the morning before my shift started, and I would use their printer and print out like thousands of letters, not a thousand, maybe a few hundred letters on yellow paper before my shift started, so I could actually go out and handwrite, letters and envelopes to start them. And that's how I started, man. That was my journey.
Wow, dude, that's fucking impressive. So, that was after college?
So I did a 5th year in school, but that year, bro, that was like me mentally saying, I gotta get my life together. I gotta figure something else out because I knew that, although I enjoyed what I was doing professionally, financially, I was in student loan debt. I had probably around 20 to 30 grand in debt. And I knew that my job wasn't going to get me out of it. I knew I was in a tough position to make $600 a week to get out of that. I knew that that was coming. So I said, I got to quickly pivot this and move. So yeah.
So what started happening when you transitioned? Obviously, you started getting involved into the real estate realm, and you started maybe doing your first few deals. Or actually, I'm gonna ask you about that. Talk about maybe your first deal that you've done in real estate, whether it was a wholesale. You could talk about a wholesale, or it could be a buy and hold, a flip, whatever it is. You could talk about maybe a few first experiences that you had.
Sure. Yeah, I just got to mute it, so I'm going to take a little pause there. So basically, when I first started, it was 2014. I was trying to learn how to do these deals, and I started learning from people from my local events. And I kept getting screwed over one after the next, and people not like saying one thing, doing another, kind of scamming me. There was one story where I told you once where I showed up at a house with the person that ran my real estate event. There's 50 people that showed up, and he was going to teach me how to do these deals and do this business. And I show up there, and he's not there. And I go to find out that he had gone to the house before me and tried to steal my deal from me. The guy who ran my event. So I really felt hopeless at that time. I'm like, man, if the one, what?
I was gonna ask you at that point, like how much did you know about real estate when you were, because it sounded like if you were partnering up with someone, it must have been like in the very early stages. So how much did you know about real estate at that point?
I honestly was probably almost a year into my journey of learning. 'Cause see, I live in a county where it was a little bit harder to do deals. It was not as easy to find off market properties. So I was really I wanted to learn from somebody that was doing it already. He had done a bunch of fix and flips. So I was going to try to have him help me estimate some repair. So even a year into the journey and not have, closed the transaction, maybe it was like 8 months, but that's where I kind of took a pivot and I was really upset. I said, how many more ads am I going to post? Like, how many more times am I going to look at this? Like, I see people doing it. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe my county's too hard. Maybe people don't want to work. And all those thoughts started coming in. And then one day I was on a Facebook group, Wholesaling Houses full-time Facebook group. You should join. There's like 100,000 people in there. And a guy put a post. His name was Steve, and it said, "I'll be someone's boots on the ground." And I was just about to graduate college around that point. I'm like, okay, I could do all the marketing and he could go around and look at properties. Man, Starbucks, I started going to Starbucks every day, generating leads. And I'll tell you a big issue what I had looking back with all my years of experience I have now, man, like I was a machine then. Like I knew way more than I thought I knew about what I was doing. I just didn't have the confidence because I hadn't done a deal yet, right? That was a big thing that I faced. And what happened was I met this other guy. He was a buyer. His name was also Steve. And he had $1 million and he was in my town. And he said, Tyler, find me a property. And all of a sudden that changed my whole mindset because now I felt like I had $1 million. So now I started calling all these agents, going on these appointments, like I had $1 million in my bank. And then we ended up doing, that was my second deal, but my first deal was actually, ironic as it is, because I did a lot of virtual deals. My first deal was actually a virtual wholesale that I ever did. Um,
Really?
yeah, the property was in Darby, Pennsylvania, and it was only 7 grand, but I got paid on my birthday, 2015, 3,500 bucks, and that's what started it. And whoa, something I always tell everyone is that, whoops, one sec. Looks like I lost Instagram here for a second. Just pause because you're not using the app. I know we might have lost Instagram. I don't know what's going on.
That's fine. You don't have to worry about Instagram. Instagram is secondary. Zoom
Okay,
is
okay,
more
okay.
important.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was, I lost my train of thought of where I was in the story.
So 3,500. You made 3,500 on that deal. It was a
Oh
virtual.
yeah, yeah, I got it. Yeah, so where that really changed my mindset because I always thought, I'll never forget, I always thought being an investor, like, oh, like that term holds like a lot of weight to it. Oh, he's an investor. Dude, I was like, I just bought and sold a home. It was like buying and selling a couch. I could have bought and sold a pillow. You know what I mean? Like, just it wasn't as complicated as I was making it. It was just doing it. You know what I mean? Was what makes you someone that is successful. So yeah, that's basically what happened.
That was your first deal.
Yeah.
Dude, so what about, because I know that we were talking earlier, and even like in our previous conversations, you also spoke about like the deals that, like in your very, very humble beginnings, where either you were in doing it from home or doing it, you mentioned something about doing deals out of a van. Like what the
Yeah, no, man. I'll tell you kind of the journey. Yeah, so that was my first deal in 20, and then the next year, I did 3 wholesales and I picked up 2 rental properties. That was my next year in business, and I did it part time, man. I didn't go crazy. I was working a few jobs that I actually got hired and fired from 2 different jobs during that time, and I made more money in wholesale and another business than I did working at either of those places. Which just goes to show you having a side hustle and having a side income can definitely always help you afloat, even if you're not doing it full time. That really, really helped me out. So I was living at home, not in a van yet. That was a little later in my journey.
talk about all
Um,
that stuff, man.
Gonna hear the
Like
van?
like the transition from like all of that, because that's
All
a
right, yeah. So I started doing some deals. I started understanding the business a little more. I picked up 2 rental properties, which is also really cool because I had like no money to start when I was doing this. I had no cash. I was in debt, so there was an opportunity where I could pick up 2 rental properties, and they needed $20,000 down. And I watched videos on YouTube about how you could raise money for the down payment. So the girl who sat next to me in my business ethics class in college, see, everything happens for a reason. I stayed a year in school to learn business. It turns out that the girl who sat next to me ended up being my private money investor, a student, my friend. And she put the down payment for my 2 rental properties in Binghamton the next year.
wow.
And guess what? She knew that I knew nothing, not that I knew nothing about real estate. She knew I knew the beginnings. She knew I wasn't super successful, but she had the confidence in me that I knew what I was doing and that I would figure it out no matter what, and I'll let her down. So that's how my rental portfolio started that I had in Binghamton. It was two multifamily properties, about 6 units that we picked up, 5 garages with it, and I was
Any
like,
money down,
no.
and not a penny.
And they brought in, they were, one brought in like 3,000 a month, the other one brought in like $2,500 a month gross. So
That's fucking amazing. So that was
yeah.
those were your first two buy and holds.
Yeah. So that was, and then what ended up happening, the guy I was working on with that, he left, so I went back to doing the wholesales, and that's brings us to 2016, where I actually linked up with this guy. I called him off of a bandit sign, police officer, and we started working together and doing wholesales together. And we're like, wow, we really saw that the power of us together and our different skill sets that we have could take us really far. Rather than me doing it on my own and him on his own, it was like 1 + 1 = like 5 with us, with our energy that we had. So we did 12 deals our first year together, or second year together, and that's where the van comes into play. So he lived in Yonkers and I lived in Rockland, which is about an hour away, and we wanted to always meet in the middle, but we didn't have an office. So we got a van, a minivan. It was $300, this van, and we just called the deal van, and we put desks in the van, light. We had it lights. We even had a generator that went into the van, that we had outlets, so we plugged in a 42-inch TV, and we'd literally do deals from the van. So we could drive the office anywhere that we wanted. It was crazy.
Dude, that's fucking insane. So you guys were literally running a deal van.
Dude, we were flipping like 5 houses a month out of a minivan.
Wow. That was 5 houses a month.
Yeah, yeah, just about.
So now
It was crazy. Dude. It was probably one of the craziest times of my life when I think about that.
with all of that, because it sounds actually like it sounds crazy, but it also sounds very, very fun. I don't know
Dude, it
why.
was, yeah, we had a great time. That's one thing that I really liked working together with someone, is like, when you're on your own, you beat yourself up, or you talk yourself up sometimes and you have all that emotion. But when you're, dude, this business became like I always looked forward to doing it. You know what I mean? I still do, because when you look at it from a new perspective of just having fun, we had to have the craziest stories and the craziest things that would be happening. Most people would look at, man, I have to work in this minivan and there's a hole in the ceiling, but we would just laugh about it every day, and we'd post about it on Instagram. You know what I mean? And because we were making money, we were doing deals, we turned it into a really great time.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. Well, with all of that being said, I mean, because dude, it sounds like you've been through a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
what would you say now? Let's tone the temperature a little bit lower now.
Okay.
What would you say? And towards the end, I want to keep everybody that's watching towards the end. We're gonna speak about a lot of crazy deals, but I want to start actually off right now with speaking about maybe some of the deals, or not even deals. It doesn't even have to do with deals. Like some of the darkest moments where maybe you were questioning yourself about real estate. Like, what were those experiences like? If you can give us like an insight into that mindset where maybe you wanted to quit, you wanted to give up, but you just kept hammering through it, and you found out the light at the end of the tunnel, and you just fucking
Yeah.
going.
I could say maybe two or three monumental times that mirror exactly what you just said. That really, as you were saying, I just felt those emotions start coming back up again from the past of those few times. The first time it ever came up was before I even did a deal. I think I told you that, where the guy kind of screwed me over, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I was putting up, I just remember this one night I was putting up these Craigslist posts, and I'm just like, I said, how many times are you going to do this? Like, how many times are you going to do, it just, whatever. Like, maybe I'll do this another point in my life, but I stuck with it. And then the second time, this is a great one for you. So me and Ilya, my previous partner, we had flew to Arizona, June of 2018, to this great real estate event. And we learned so much information and we implemented it right away. 3 months straight. We worked, I'm not even kidding you, I probably worked 20 hours a day, not a day off. Because I was also working a full-time job plus doing this like to the max. So we both worked 20 hours a day for 3 months. And I had 10 people working for me on the cold callers, and we built this whole team up. And we looked at our bank account after the last 3 months, we were closing deals, and this is how much money we had left over.
Zero.
We started with 50K to really build up that side of the business, and we lost everything because we were doing too much at once. We worked too fast, and we worked 20 hours. And then we got a phone call with the mentors from that event. We're like, what did we do wrong? We have no money. Like, we don't even know what to do.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. So guys, just just because on the podcast they're not gonna be able to see the screen.
Oh,
$50,000 you guys invested in the business. 3 months straight, 20-hour work days, zero revenue.
no, no,
That
no, no, zero net. We netted zero.
zero net. Okay, so you guys were closing deals. It was just it was going right
We
back
were
into.
overspending. But here's the thing, Jose. Like we had a bank account with 50K, and then 3 months later, for 20-hour days, we had a bank account with 0K, $0. Like I gave my life, and like I had no, I like when you like. I don't know if it was like Eric Thomas, who I really like. Like I felt I had nothing left after that call. I called those guys, and I look back at it. I was trying to find blame. I wasn't trying to blame myself. I was calling them like, look what you taught us. Like, what did we do wrong? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to take that. I'll never forget. I sat in the car that day of the minivan with water pouring in because we had holes in the ceiling of the van, and I was just looking. And by the way, we love the van. I still love the van to this day. I'm not talking that. There's nothing negative to say about the van, but I was sitting there and I was just staring outside. I called my friend Alan, who's in Florida. He was just getting started in wholesaling, and he looked up to me and I'm just like, dude, I don't know, man. He's like, what don't you know? I said, I just don't know. He's like, Tyler, he's like, you got this far. He's like, there's a reason why you were 50 up in the beginning, right? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you got to dig deeper. You got to dig deeper. He's like, what is there if it's not, again, like, what is there if it's not this right now? I'm like, dude, I don't know. He's like, dig deeper. And I just held it together. I am not even kidding you. You want to hear a success story? That month it was August of 2018. No, and a big thing I'll tell the audience, everyone that's listening, what we shifted. One, we stopped focusing on what they were good at. We took what we knew and we started focusing on what we were good at. That was one thing we did. And the second thing that we did was we lowered our goals. You know how hard that was for me to do? I had big goals. I want to make 100K a month. That's what I wanted to be doing. But we took it from 100K. We said, dude, if we were getting desperate, we said, if we could only close just one deal or two deals, we'll feel much better about ourselves. You know what I mean? We'll at least have some wins. We have to get some wins in there. We kept losing and losing and losing. Lo and behold, starting from zero. This is no marketing money. This is just straight grind. We were back to the same grind that I started 3 years back. You know how like humbling that is to say we have all this money, we have all 10 employees, to just two of us doing like cold calling again. You know what I mean? And trying to make money. We took that, lo and behold, bro, all of a sudden, November, 3 contracts. December, 3 contracts. January, we closed over 100K. So we closed 50K, 50K, December over $100,000, and then we literally started picking up $130,000 months. And literally from that shift of mindset of that night in the van and the changes that we made, instant implementation, we literally took it from zero and started building it back up.
Hold on a second. So, wow. So I just want to, because people definitely missed this point right here that I'm about to point out, and you said it very, very, very clearly. The only thing that shifted was your mindset. It was your
Yeah.
perspective on the whole situation.
Yeah.
You didn't need extra amount of money.
Nope.
Maybe the shift of the mindset made you go after another loan or whatever it was. Like even if you didn't do that, maybe it would have built that confidence for you to go after whatever it was versus just sitting there just fucking kneeling in the corner and crying. But you guys shifted your mindset whole 360, and then you guys started hitting 100K months.
Dude, I have the chills on my arm of I get emotional about how like life changing that was, because he had a family and kids that he was trying to support. I'm single, but like he had credit card, that there was so much things we were trying to do, and like you know we didn't spend time beating ourselves up about it, because no matter what we did, we still had to get to the solution, and we still had to get that goal. I mean, it was a lot more difficult. And also, man, we felt, it really made me think differently, because we felt bigger. We had people working with us, we had a team, and we went back to nothing again, and we're like, whoa, where did everybody go? We had his brother working for us, he left. Like, it was a really weird experience that we had. We're like, we have to go back to doing everything ourselves. Like, it was tough. It was
Wait,
really
when
tough.
was this? Was this after the 3 months that you guys had the 50K?
Yeah, it was just back to nothing. It was back to zero, zero.
You guys fired the whole team and everything.
Yeah, it was just us two. We
Okay.
looked at each other and we're like, we got to start over somehow. And we took it together. And literally, I said, that was August, September, no, November. We had 3 contracts. December, we closed about 50K. January, over 100K, 50K, 100K, 100K, and it just started picking up from there.
Wow,
Because I'm
man.
telling you, we had, you know what it was, man? We had such high expectations for ourselves. That, which is good to have, but not to the point that it's unachievable.
So
Don't,
yeah, go ahead.
you just don't say, not just to the viewers, like, you see these guys on Instagram, you see these guys online, you say, if they could do it, I could do it. But there's a lot that went into that before that. It's not just that they just instantly did 100K months or 200K months. It's like that just didn't happen overnight. You know what I mean? And we tried to make it happen overnight. We tried to make it happen in 2 months. You know what I mean? We hired too much. Yeah. So
So not to bash Grant Cardone or anything like that. Grant Cardone's a great dude. He talks about like, always set your goals high, right?
yeah.
And something that you guys did was actually I found intriguing was that you guys shifted your standards to something a little bit more manageable
Oh,
to at least
dude.
get some confidence to build.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God, that was one of our biggest mistakes. We set everything too big, too fast, and I'll never forget the day that it was hard to do. It was hard to lower your standards. I was trying to not take it personally. I'm like, you can't do this, Tyler. You can't do that. But I said no. I said we have to at least. And I struggle with this. I have to practice getting better at it, but it's just try not to go from 0 to step 8 too quick, or 10. You want to go from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6. You know what I mean? So kind of building that up, and through that you build relationships, and and you grow quicker that way.
Dude, that's a fucking awesome story. And what I can say about that too is that this actually relates to like a lot of people that are looking to maybe wake up in the morning earlier or establish some kind of a personal routine. They want to do all of these great things that all these athletes or like these great like Tony Robbins, let's say,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah.
trying to they're trying to establish all of these rituals, let's say, all at once and become 100% perfect on them without even doing it once. And then they do it once, let's say, because it's the first day, they get super fucking excited about it,
Yeah.
following the routine perfectly 100%. And then the next day it gets a little bit harder, and then the third day they don't even want to fucking do it anymore.
Yeah, dude, I'm
And
guilty of it too. I even have my whiteboard. I don't even know where it is behind here. I was like, oh, I wanted to. There's certain things I want to do every day. It was there was like meditation in there. Wake up at a certain time, and you start doing it, and your body it smacks you in the face. You're like, dude, you have to get used to it. So what do they say? It takes like 30 days to build a habit. Isn't that
yeah,
what they say? For
yeah.
me, when I think 30, I'm like, oh, if I just do 7, and then 7, and then 7 days, and then 7 days, that's more manageable. I'm like, I can do this for 7 days. I have to do this for a year. I'm like, I don't know about that. So it's kind of breaking it down into different chunks of what you actually have to accomplish.
So I want to ask you, and then we could keep talking about your interesting stories. In terms of like actually narrowing in, like for example, when you're looking at your overall goal, let's say you're shooting for $1 million a year, right, in
Hmm.
wholesale. It, did you guys implement a strategy? And it sounds like you did, based on what you were telling me, where it wasn't like you were looking at, we're gonna hit $1 million a year and that's it. It seems like you guys chunked it down to maybe even the day by day action steps.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and that sounds like the difference between just fucking running around with your head cut off and versus like running it like an actual business.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could maybe keep talking about that now. So now we're in January, let's say February, March. Now things are starting to pick up. What happens then?
Yeah. And just to kind of just take a step back, you're 100% spot on about chunking it down and building it down, because we learned a lot when we said we need to only do 3 at a time. We said, what are the actions we need to take to be doing 3 at a time? And then what are the actions? And then things could just started kind of adding up, because we keep taking the actions we thought for 3 at a time was actually for probably 5 or 6 at a time, because we work really hard. And then, we started just kind of, and it's crazy, man, just thinking back, like in hindsight now, we used to say out loud, we want to do $1 million a year. We want to do $1 million, right? And we said in videos, we would do, it's like, you speak it into reality. Because now we're just thinking of the actions that we would need to take in order for that to happen. It's like it's about, and Austin talks about this a lot, my friend in Close University, just about commitment, right? When we committed to that goal, and mind you, he was a full-time police officer, and I was working full-time in Manhattan at this time also, on top of all of this.
What were you doing in
So
Manhattan?
what?
What were you doing in Manhattan? Like
I
what?
was working as a full-time marketing manager for a company called Dale Carnegie, who wrote the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's like a leadership training company. So it was a pretty cool gig I had while I was doing the real estate. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, like, for all those excuse makers out there, man, dude, he was full-time with a wife and 3 kids. I was working full-time in Manhattan, and we were still doing six-figure months, closing 6 to 8 deals a month, every month, virtually from New York. No
Wow.
excuses. I would work at a hostels in Queens. I would just rent an Airbnb because I knew I couldn't go home the next. I was just I had to close deals. I had responsibilities. You know what I mean?
Wow, dude, that's so it seems like you guys were really, really dedicating a lot of fucking time into this shit. And
Oh yeah.
it explains why you guys have been able to achieve that amount of success. So now one of the parts that was a little bit unclear when so the team, whatever, 50K zero, the team, you guys got rid of the team. So then January,
Oh yeah. So February, March comes along. Yeah. So
you guys
around yeah. So around January, February, March, we brought. Listen, I had never hired anyone before. We brought some people on that came kind of in and out of the company that and he ended up wanting. So we started making some money, and he was living in Yonkers, and he wanted to end up moving to Pennsylvania, and it wasn't going to work the way that we were running the company if we were just the way it was going. So while we were having some success, we said, you know what, it would make sense for him to keep running. It was called Finest Home Buyers, the company in Pennsylvania, and I was going to just kind of start doing something on my own at that time. So
wow.
that's when I started going out on my own. So we both kind of learned a lot together. We both said we'd still do together, but he wanted to, move out to another state, and then I kept going on my own in a different direction. So what I ended up doing is I ended up building my own small team here in New Jersey, and we got going, man. Same thing. So think about that. Just think about that for a second. I had experience, right? But technically, I was starting from zero again, right? But I had the knowledge. You see?
What ended up happening with the business when you guys split?
So yeah, so we had a bunch of deals that were still going on, and we closed them all out. We still split all the money evenly, and then he moved out to Pennsylvania, and he kept that name, Finest Home Buyers, and he kept running it out there. And then I started my own version here in New Jersey that was run by me, and I had one of our lead acquisition guys from our team stayed with me, and then he started locking up the deals.
Wow. Okay. So did you guys? It sounds like you guys still had money coming in still.
Yeah, we had like 8 houses. Like I said, we were buying and selling about 6 a month. So we would lock up 6 new contracts and we'd sell off about 6 houses. That's what we were doing for
Wow.
like 6 months, 7 months straight. Yeah.
So now, did anything get maybe a little bit more challenging when you guys split? Like, what were some of
Oh
the
yeah, man. That's where you learn a lot. You learn dude, so imagine for over 2 years we were working together and that's all I really knew. You know what I mean? We kind of had that, how partnership that we were working together. You're good at this, I'm good at this. So that was probably one of the most challenging times for me. Not starting it, but just maintaining it. So I ended up going to a coaching event where I learned from a guy. Like not that I didn't know what I was doing, but to keep my education going. But I believed in myself and I believed in what I was doing. I knew what I was doing worked. I was very confident in everything I had set up. So I rented an office. I built the team back up. And dude, man, you think I would learn from my mistakes? I was so excited. I was so excited to get this thing back up and running. I hired 7 people at one time, which is very similar to the year before. I hired 10 people at one time, and I was all by myself at this time. So I got the whole team, I got everyone in, and boom, we literally went. It's kind of cool to think about it, especially when people are just getting started in real estate investing and wholesaling, because I literally went from zero, but with the knowledge I had, the first by the second month we already did 60,000 in revenue. The third month we were probably did another 60,000. You know, and I didn't have any expenses really. It was just me and my guy. I just knew how to do the deals. I knew how to make money. So we
Right.
started growing, and then again I said I want to make this big. Again, I hired 7 people, and no, we started growing. We were doing really well. And then by December, I learned a lot about running a business on my own. I learned a lot about myself. Is what I really learned. And what I learned was by the end of the year was that there's a book called The E Myth. Man, I should have read this book before. I built a business that I was relied on for every single decision. That's not how you want to. That's not how you want to run a business. You want to build a business that's in systems and has processes in place that
Well,
let people do what they were good at. So I literally trapped myself. I went from wanting to run a company to having a 100-hour-a-week job trying to answer the acquisition department. I had a staff of 7: acquisition department, transaction department, disposition department, marketing department, operations department, and everyone came to me. So I kind of slowed it down towards the end of the year. I closed out some deals throughout January that I had going. And total last year gross revenue between both companies was over $1 million in gross, which was crazy to think that, I pulled off between everything I had going on. And yeah.
That sounds like a lot, and that was in like a year and a half. It seems like that whole.
Oh yeah, dude. From August 2018 to August 2019 was the craziest time of my life. It was literally the craziest. And between all that, I didn't even bring this up. I traveled to Florida 3 times, Arizona once, California once, all through all of that.
Why?
Training, real estate training events. I went to Arizona for a training event, Florida 3 or 4 times for different training events, and California for a Tony Robbins event I went to.
Were all those events for free?
No, 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 no,
The
no.
reason I asked that, bro, is because there are so many people that are not willing to invest in themselves and they want handouts, they want everything for
Mm-mm.
free. Dude, I'm the same way, bro. Last year, I
Mm-mm.
traveled 7 times. And I mean, I'm not sure about how much you spent, but I spent quite a bit of money on just
If
my own
I
education.
could add it, I could add it up. It was over 50K probably between all the events that we went to.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Mine. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, just between because it's not just events, it's education. Because look, like I would put 5 in to learn something, and we're like, aha, lose 50, but make back 100. You know what I mean? And we just kept getting little nuggets at each of these events that kept. And also, when you're surrounding yourself with people that are doing what you're doing, listen, every day you're by yourself. Even if you're with your partner, you're by yourself. You know what I mean? So to stay in that mindset, you go to an event with 1,000 people doing what you're doing. You're like, whoa, this does work. Got it. Let's go back and keep going.
Yeah. Now that's beautiful, man. And I love that you brought that up, just so when everybody's listening, you're going to have to invest in yourself. There has to be that specific exchange. Like, even when I'm speaking to somebody and they give me some valuable information, even if it's a friend, like I always want to, like, man, I got to repay this guy back somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You always have that feeling. And if you always are going to want things for free, it's just not the fucking way it works. So dude, after speaking about all of that, how many houses did you end up flipping? You ended up grossing over.
Yeah, in my life, and the craziest thing about all the ones last year, I think we did about the first half of the year we probably did like 30 something, and then the second half of the year probably another 20 something, so probably like 50 to 60, and they were all virtual. I never saw one of them. I never saw one of the houses. I honestly don't even know much about houses, to be honest with you. I really don't.
Talk about that. Talk about that. You
It's
don't know
again,
much
and
about houses.
yeah, and I tell people I'm not proud. I'm not proud that I don't know like that much about houses. It's more about just a limiting belief for people getting started that you do need to know. I never was really that into construction. I rehabbed one house with Ely. I got a hole in my foot and I was in crutches for 6 weeks. I do not like renovating, even though I'm doing a virtual renovation right now, which is a different story. Um, I like the idea, the concept, and the trading paper, right? People say, oh, I don't know how to a big struggle of mine. I don't know what a sheetrock cost and this cost and ARB. And I was always trying to figure that out until I went to one of these trainings and they said, you don't need to be good at estimating repair costs. You need to be good at comparing things. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So if this one needs a full renovation and it's sold for 100,000, mine needs a full renovation. I just got to get it for less than 100,000. Got it. Like, you know what I mean? So I just got really good at comparing what was wrong with things and knowing how much it cost to fix them. And that's what really helped me out a lot.
Wow, bro, that's very insightful, man. Now, dude, I want to get to the funny stuff now. With any nightmare deals or like maybe any
Oh,
that
any, like all of them, man. Every day. No,
you
man,
could.
I've had the craziest
Yeah,
deals. And there's a saying, man, there's two sayings. I don't know which one it goes for, maybe a little bit of both. But there's a saying that, I believe in where like sometimes some people get get the harder things because the universe knows that you're the one that's capable of dealing with it, right? You're the one that's capable of figuring it out,
yeah,
right? They're not going to go give it to maybe my sister trying to do this or you trying to do this, but they know Tyler is crazy enough to figure this out. They also say what you put out there, you attract. So maybe I'm attracting these deals. Hopefully not. But I've definitely had my fair share of very easy, smooth deals. But man, as far as the crazy ones, dude, I could go on for days. You just want me a random example of a crazy deal I've done?
Give me some specific ones, very detailed. I want to know all the juicy stuff, man.
Oh man. Okay, let me try to think of one. That was a crazy one that we had. Um, there's one deal I had in Florida. This it was a little tiny house, and the seller said that her nephew was living there, and but he left or something, vacant. Okay, cool. Home run deal, like crazy numbers. I put this house out there, and I had 100 people that wanted to see this thing. Like like it was 30 agents that were bringing 2 to 3 people each. So 90 to 100 people are about to show up at this house on a tiny little street in Orlando, Florida. Out of nowhere is one, and I'm virtual. I'm in New York. I just remember one of the agents called me. She's like, Tyler, there's like 200 people, like 100, 200 people are like showing up at this house. How are we gonna get inside? And then everyone gets out of their car. Imagine 100 people on the street, 200. They walk up to the door, and the nephew had never left the house. The one that they thought left. This guy just kicks open the door, and he had like knives and drugs and screaming at everyone, "Get the f out of here! Get the f out of here! I'm gonna kill all you!" It was like this crazy thing that ended up happening. Still sold it though. Still sold it. Still sold the house. I had to do another showing, but we sold it. That was a crazy one that we had. Um,
How much you guys ended up making out of that one?
oh man, I think it wasn't much. It was like 10, like 10K wholesale fee. Oh, and another thing here, I'll give you guys a quick story just about belief. I know Jose really likes belief. So this is a funny belief story. Ready? So we were looking into going into a new market, and we got on the phone with this guy. His name was Keith. He's a great guy. We met him at a few of these events, and he was doing deals in Ohio, and he was leaving. We're like, dude, why are you leaving Ohio? That's where we want to start. He's like, listen, he's like, I was doing about 8 deals a month, making around 20 to 30K a deal. I'm like, what? That sounds amazing. He's like, yeah, I wanted. He was moving to Georgia or something like that. All me and Ilya heard, or my partner, was 8 deals a month times 20 to 30, and he's leaving. That means we could do 20 to $30,000 size. That's a pretty decent wholesale fee in Ohio. Because we believed what he told us, we didn't met this guy at a hole in the wall. We always started budgeting to make that per deal. And every deal, 25K, 30K, 25K, 40K. We go to these events and we talk to everyone. They barely even make $8,000 on a deal there. But we believed what he said. We're like, but Keith did it, so we could do it. You know what I mean? So that was just a crazy kind of like mindset thing that helped us out a lot. Just because he could have made anything up, we would have just said, okay, I guess we could do it.
Dude. And what it is about that is that when you believe in something so strong and when you have faith in something,
Yeah.
it's almost like, of course, like if the seller were to ask you, like, oh, you're gonna make 20,000, of course I'm gonna fucking make 20. That's
Yeah.
nothing, dude. But it's like,
Yeah.
and if somebody else were to ask you, like somebody that's making 5,000 on a deal, you would have been like, dude, what are you talking about? We're making 20, 30K. And it was just like normal. And at that point, you guys are really confident about that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was all we ever knew to believe. Like if I told you that, this color is yellow, you would always call this yellow. That's how confident we were. We had no reason to think differently. We
Yeah,
had no reason to
somebody
think
tells you,
differently.
dude, that color is black. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. This is how much we do. Yeah. So that's just a cool thing. But as far as crazy deals, we once had the seller. I had a seller whose her mom was living in her house. I had the house under contract, and it was a great deal. So she had to evict her mom from living in the house, and it was taking months and months and months. And finally, it was the night before the eviction. I was waiting for like 4 or 5 months for this day. I was like, finally, she'll get out, and we could close on the property. It was a solid home run deal. And the night before the eviction, she lived in like an hour and a half away from the court. I booked her a hotel room. I said, listen, I got you a nice room. Just drive over there, get nice and refreshed in the morning, and walk over to the courthouse and get your mean mom out of there, and you'll be good to go. Everything was perfect. Talked to her. I went to a RIA event where actually I met you at the event. You didn't even know this was going on. And I get a call while
Was
I'm
that
at
the
the
first
event.
day we met?
No, it's probably once or twice into it, maybe. I don't remember. And I get a call while I'm at the event from a police officer. It was her phone though. And she's like, is this Tyler? I'm like, yeah, who's this? She's like, this is officer, whatever, sheriff. And uh, you were the last person that this woman called. And she was under the influence of drugs, DUI, totaled her car, smashed it on Route 17, New Jersey into a pole on the side of the road. And she's going to the hospital and getting arrested. My seller. this was my deal. No, but seriously, she was in a really messed up situation. She must have overdosed on drugs because she was scared of uh, evicting her mom.
Dude, that's fucking crazy. So what
So
ended up happening?
I ended up
And you were
I'm
a
not.
brigand during all this.
Yeah. I am not letting this deal go, man. See, this is how far are you willing to go? How far are you willing to go to make your deals happen, right? I end up saying, what am I gonna do? Like, is it dead? Like, is she dead? I don't know. So I keep talking to her. I keep texting her, and she's answering. I end up, she goes to the hospital to jail, and then I end up bailing her out of jail. Not bailing her out, but signing off that she's leaving the jail. Take her in my car, drive her to her totaled car. She changes her clothes, brushes her teeth, and take her to the court. And we ended up losing in court, unfortunately. But I ended up making money on the deal a different way by getting paid to walk away, which is another strategy we could talk about another time. But yeah.
Well, hey man, at least you got something out of it, but that
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that was a crazy one. There's been here I'll give you another quick one that we had. I'm not telling there's the kidnapping, the seller story. We're not going to talk about that on this call. Um, there was a deal that we did in New York. Once again, it was a home run, amazing deal. This deal was like amazing, and we had again like 30 people that wanted to see this house, and it was 3 stories, right? But the seller knew we were going to be flipping it, and that we had buyers that wanted to see it, but like she just talked so much, and we didn't want the buyers to try. This is a big thing in real estate. Everyone listen up. You got to listen to this. In real estate investing, if when you do a showing, you want to control your showing, right? It's different than when you're an agent, when like an agent talks to another agent. Here you bring your buyers. If they try to talk to your seller, they could cut you out of your deal. You know what I mean? Even though she knows what we're doing, flipping the contract, flipping the property, if they offer her more or they start talking numbers out loud, we're going to be in big trouble because we had this for a steal. We had this house for a steal price, right? So we made a rule. We told every single buyer that came into the house, we said, listen, if we see you talking to any of the tenants or the people there, you're automatically disqualified and we're kicking you out of the house and you don't get the deal. And what ended up happening was the seller, the owner was so talkative. She started walking up to all my buyers and just started talking. And the buyers are just not saying, it was the funniest thing. They're just like, she's talking to me. She had no idea what was going on. You know what I mean? She's talking to me. I'm not talking to her. I'm not disqualified. It was a whole crazy thing. But that deal changed my life because we did this the right way. And because we took the right protocol and we bought her donuts, we got her to be quiet and take her out of the house. That was the second deal me and him did together, and we made over $100,000 on that wholesale fee, and that deal is what started our business.
Wow. So how early was this on
That was in 2000 and November of 2018. That was when we had done a few deals together. We had a few in the pipeline. We got the contract for 37K, and we wholesaled it for 130 something thousand. Maybe it was around
oh,
100.
so six-figure wholesales are possible. It's not like
Close to, yeah, it was close to, or maybe it was a little bit less. I think 133 we sold it for, or something like that. But yeah, man, and we took the money. We partied for 2 days. Not like that kind of party. And
on Wall Street over here.
yeah, no. and then we invested into our business. That's how we were able to start. We had some capital to start.
Awesome, man. Well, those are some fucking great stories. And I want to just maybe wrap it up a little bit now. So before doing that, I mean, with all of that being said, I mean, what is Ty Silver now looking into or like venturing off to? Like what are you
Sure.
currently like doing now?
Yeah, man. After I ran the team last year, really working on like the kind of like that E-myth strategy, working with the right people, getting the right people in place, and having that right energy. Over the last couple of months, I tried working with a few people, rebuilding a team, and it's really about finding the right people that you work with that share your same values and share your same story. In the meantime, right now, I'm selling off a few of the rental properties that I had. I just picked up a fix and flip that I do virtually, and it's really doing things in the way that you want to do them in your life, right? So I had picked up a rehab 2 years ago, and I was very involved in the process, and I hated it. Right now, I set up a rehab where I linked up. I had a property through my friends at Close University. I have a private investor that runs the whole property, and I don't do anything. I get 50-50 of the profits though because I put a deal together. That's what I'm looking to do more of. More deals that I could have more of my time with reliable people and be able to grow, because that way I can maximize my time and not get so caught up in that hustle bustle day to day.
That's called leverage, baby.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, that's great. Now, what would you say to maybe an individual that, like, let's say, for example, you were looking at yourself before getting into this whole real estate. I'm gonna just call it this whole real estate journey. Let's say you were just starting out, maybe you're just leaving college or you're just leaving high school or whatever it is, and you say, man, I really want to go. I would really want to start wholesaling. I really want to start doing real estate, fix and flip, buy and hold, whatever it is. What are maybe a few things, three things, two things, one thing you could
Yeah,
recommend?
I'm just thinking. Yeah, it's this business, and what I really learned about, because this I've ventured in some other businesses as well, and what you put in is what you will get out. Period.
Hmm.
Right? Like when you think deals, like however much you want to make, whatever you want to do is a direct response and relation to what you're going to put into it, right? And how hard you're going to go and how hard you're going to try and how much time and effort and energy you're going to spend into making it happen. Like if I was looking at myself, when I remember when I was doing those Binghamton properties upstate, bro, like I've done some stuff like I didn't like when I first started doing the wholesale. Remember I said I met a guy off a Facebook group? Dude, I went like I had to really do things because I believed in myself. Like I took, for you, it may not seem like a big deal. I was living with my family. I couldn't tell them what I was doing because they didn't understand in their heads. So I went on a bus to Philadelphia. This is I shouldn't have done it, but dangerous. But I did. I went on a bus to Philadelphia to meet a guy that I met on a Facebook group that I never met. That's probably two times my age. Not that age matters, but you know what I mean? Because we had been talking for a while, but who would understand that besides you when you have that goal and that dream and that vision? You know what I mean? Told one of my friends, I said, make sure I don't get killed. I'll be, I should be back by 6. You know what I mean? But just sticking to what you believe in and always doing that will get you to where you want to be.
Yeah, dude, I fucking absolutely. That's that's quite a fucking statement.
And ready for this? Here, I'll give you guys one. Think about this. The same RIA now, Jose, because he's have a little more meaning to this. The same the RIA is a real estate investment group that everyone told me I had bad deals at. Everyone, 40 people would laugh at my deals at. The guy who ran it screwed me on my deals is the same event that I now run with Jose a
Yeah,
few years later.
we
And
speak
then we
the same.
speak to a few hundred, 100 people that show up there. So
Yeah,
it's crazy how that turns around. And it's not even about doing deals, it's about being a good person that could help the community. It's also why we started a Facebook group for anyone who's listening called Closer University, where we're helping other people get started in real estate investing. So
yeah, dude, I was just gonna bring that up too. Like, I know that you're doing the Closure University, and Austin and Jake are also involved in that as well. Um,
yeah,
so I would highly recommend anybody that's listening to this that is thinking about hitting me up about real estate. You can hit me up, and at the same time, I'm most likely gonna end up recommending you to because it's a free. Uh,
we started a free Facebook group where we're going on once or twice a week on live free events where anyone can ask any question that they have to people that, I've done deals. They've also done probably about the same amount as me. I've probably done over a few hundred, at least over 100 real estate flip deals. So any questions that they may have, both locally and virtually, will all be answered for free in the group.
that's fucking wow! What a luxury, man. Awesome, brother. Well, hey, thank you for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it, man. I really appreciate your time. And I love the way that you shared all those stories because it was really insightful for anybody that's maybe going through something, and even if they're just starting in real estate. Like, for example, it took Austin and Jake, I just had them on the podcast the other day. It took them about, they said anywhere from 6 to 8 months, I believe, or somewhere around that range. It took you about the same, it seems like, to get.
Yeah, but keep in mind, man, keep in mind, just think about this. Like, it took me that long when I was like, dude, it's like going around with the blindfold and just walking into walls over and over and over and over and over again. Where when I started a new company on my own, I went from 0 to 60K in a month and a half. I had my first day on the car because I knew the steps. So when you know the exact steps on what you need to do and the actions you need to take, it's not that hard.
Yeah, it's just fucking taking the action.
Yeah, but it's also doing it with people that have done it before. Why do you think we spend so much in our education? I'm like, why am I going to bump into walls again? I could spend 5K to make 50K. Why do I need to take it? It's also about your time. How much does your time cost to get to that point? You know?
Yeah. Absolutely, brother. I 100% agree. You know, I'm big on education, as you know. So
Mhm.
definitely, brother. Again, and by the way, how can they maybe find your? Are you on Instagram and all that?
Yeah. You can follow the Instagram called First Deal Society at First Deal Society. That's my main page I use for all my real estate. Also, they could check out the Closer University Facebook group. It's a free, like I said, Facebook group. We have I think like 500 people in there right now. We're growing and things are looking good.
Beautiful, brother. Well, hey, anybody that's listening out there, thanks for tuning in. Like, share this podcast with anybody that you feel like will get something out of this, which means the whole entire world, because this was a great
Mhm.
episode. Definitely leave a review down below. Of course, it's going to be a 5-star review. But, no, but thanks for tuning in, guys. Seriously, I really appreciate everything. And, dude, I appreciate you making the time to come out.
Thanks, man. No, it's an honor to be here. And I'll tell you, I am the biggest Jose Rodriguez fan, man. This guy on his mindset, man, I tune in every day. I know all his posts. I read all his stuff because he knows what he's talking about as far as keeping your mind straight and getting deals done. So thank you.
Hell yeah, brother. Appreciate it, man. Well, that's it. Until the next one, we'll definitely do another episode in the future. Maybe we'll do it on a yacht or something like that.
Sounds
All
good
right,
to me.
brother.
All right, later. Take care.